Good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in to this evening's program, participatory workshop. It's really nice to have all of you taking your time off on a Sunday evening to attend this one. At the outset, I would like to thank the speakers who've agreed to be our resource persons for the day, you all participants, sign language interpreters, Mr. Arun C. Rao and Ms. Preeti Sapra. And I'd like to thank Dr. Shubha Ranganathan, who's my supervisor. Unfortunately, she's not able to join, but her support has always been there throughout. My name is Chetan, and I'm a PhD student in psychology and disability studies at the Department of Liberal Arts, IIT Hyderabad. And this workshop is part of my doctoral work. And before we begin, the entire discussion, I'll just introduce to you all what this workshop is and give you a couple of housekeeping rules as well. I'll begin with the housekeeping rules. Please turn off your videos and keep your mics on mute so that you can only see the speaker's video and the sign language interpreters. We have accessibility in terms of sign language interpreters. You can turn on the closed captions for subtitles in case there's any difficulty with the accent. Wherever there are images, we'll try to describe that as well for you all. We will have the Q&A at the end of the workshop today because it shouldn't disrupt the flow of thoughts of the speaker and everyone gets enough time to talk. During the Q&A, you're free to unmute yourselves and ask questions. You can type the questions on the chat box as well. And since this is mostly for inclusion, mostly for acceptance, mostly for awareness on learning disabilities, let's all be kind and sensitive to the language that we use with one another. Right? I'll introduce the workshop. So when we say participatory workshop, what does that really mean? Now, this is titled Learning Disability Advocacy, a participatory workshop. So participatory workshop is basically a component of the participatory research design where it's bringing people together to seek their opinions, knowledge, and to understand something in a collaborative and creative environment. Now, the speakers here are core researchers, they are resource persons, as well as research interlocutors. Now, this workshop is a result of consultation and knowledge sharing that began in August 2023, where we all discussed, what to do, how to do, and what will be the outcome. So this is one of the outcomes of the workshop, and the other one is probably a possibility of a paper. Right? Now, when we look at participatory research, right? So one of the things that concerns is ethics, because in traditional research, we abide by ethical principles of confidentiality and anonymity. However, here the research participants are co-researchers speaking about themselves as self-advocates. Right? So the thing is that here we are using ethics in a contextual approach. We are using confidentiality and anonymity in a contextual approach because we've understood from different research paradigms that confidentiality and anonymity are very important and they do serve certain purposes, but at the same time, they can also hinder certain things. Now, for example, anonymity and confidentiality in certain research can reinforce stigma, can negate authentic representations, right? So from that perspective, here, self-advocates talking about themselves is a way to destigmatize, is a way to foster more inclusion, and to allow authentic representation, right? So that's one of the important points that I wanted to make. Like I said, what is this workshop about? What is it not about? This workshop is about authentic representation. It's about learning from each other. It's about bringing together unique experiences and attempting to bring a positive change in the way we understand learning disability or dyslexia. What is it not about? This workshop is not about trivializing the speaker's experiences or drawing blanket statements and overgeneralizations. And it is not about monetizing the experiences, right? So, with this brief background, I'll move on to the advocacy part of the workshop. Right now, what does advocacy really mean? In the traditional sense, it is talking about rights of people, various groups, and here within the context of disability. And it can be done in different forms. It comes in different shapes and sizes and forms. In this workshop, we are looking at advocacy in terms of um, you know experiences of our speakers, the neurodivergent experiences, and how these experiences shape our understanding, how they inform us about the rights of people with learning disabilities, about the different kinds of inclusions and accommodations that can be made in different contexts, and about the way we can be more inclusive. Okay? So, why this workshop? Now, we are doing this workshop at a time when we are embracing the concept of neurodiversity. Right? Neurodiversity basically refers to acknowledging differences. We are all different, yes, but acknowledging the difference and not attributing that to a pathology or a deviation from the normative notions, but rather as a variation and how they intersect with different other factors. Right? Now, this helps us to move from a deficit-based approach to learning disabilities to more of strength and contextual-based approaches. Because traditionally, learning disability or dyslexia has been viewed as a neurodevelopmental disorder from a lot of medical understanding that there is something wrong with you and you need to be fixed. Right? So we are changing that notion from that to yes, there are challenges, and those challenges can be looked at from also the environmental support, right? The way our systems can provide support can make a lot of difference in the way we understand learning disabilities as well. Right? And another important reason for why we're doing this is also looking at disability research with the participants. Nothing without us about us. So it's not only inclusion for the sake of inclusion, but also gaining knowledge, gaining perspectives from people with their lived experiences and looking at it critically and contextualizing it. Right? And finally, also understanding these perspectives and providing a space where we can all share our experiences that sort of go beyond the binaries of superhero or supercrip narratives. Right? Superhero narratives is that a person with disability may have some other extraordinary ability to compensate for that, or a supercrip is a person with disability cannot do anything. Right? So it's also a way to debunk certain myths related to learning disability, dyslexia, because our society places excessive emphasis on academic achievement, and we do see how strengths can be captured and fostered. And we can see how there's so much more to learning disability than just the academic struggles, right? So with this brief introduction, I would now like to ask the participants to have the speakers. I mean have the speakers with us. But before that, let me also give you a heads up about what this workshop will entail. So I'll just read out the line of speakers so you all know who's going to talk about what and when. We first have Aditya Bharadwaj talking about self-advocacy. And we have Puneet Singh after that, who will talk about assessment and diagnostic experiences, followed by Shreya, who will talk about home and family environment. So after these three sessions, we will have a short break for about 10 minutes. And after the break, we will have the second panel with Pratik, talking about school and college experiences, followed by Priyank, talking about understanding strengths and fostering them, and then Parikshit talking about tech tools and environmental support. We will again have a short break for 10 minutes, after which we will have Gopi Venugopal talking about workplace and DI. And then we will have enough time for Q&A. So each speaker will get about 15 to 20 minutes time to talk. And I will be keeping time. This is for the speakers. By the end of 15 minutes, I will remind you so that you can wrap your talk up. So We will have the entire speakers talk first, and then we will take the Q&A at the end, and we can have a fruitful discussion at this.